Welcome to this coaching session, you guys, on the knockout. And what we're talking about tonight is everything related to the knockout, how to prevent it, how to set somebody up for it, why we feel like some people might be sparring too early. Lots of topics to cover. I'm Alan Branch from Glove Up. My man, David Dice, Brooklyn's here with us too. David, get us started.
All right, so let's handle, why. Remember the other night we were looking at all these clips talking about, could not find one good clean knockout that didn't happen for three reasons. One, not punching and covering. When the guy was throwing one thing, the other hand came down, the guy got clipped. Two, drawing back, before they punch, or dropping down before they punch. And three, looping shots, not having a fast snap, not returning it good enough. And all of those are avoidable. That's what's wild. We could not find one that wasn't like that.
Literally not one. So let's go ahead, Brooklyn, come on up. Let's talk about the first one that he said, and that's when they punch, they're not covered. So we've gotten some comments on the channel when we break down what I feel like is the most important first thing you should learn in your stance, which is the 3-point stance. And some of the comments we got were like, oh, that's just a complicated way of saying put your hands up. That is so incorrect, that statement, because put your hands up can mean anything. Your hands could be anywhere. It doesn't tell you where the elbows go. It doesn't teach you any placement. Let's look at that 3-point stance. So in a 3-point stance, to begin, his rear elbow is touching, his rear hand is touching, his front elbow is relatively touching. There's 3 points there. 1, 2, and 3. When he begins to punch, there should be a 4-point stance. So the punch extends, he makes contact with the target. There's 1. Inside the shoulder is 2. Touching his chin over here is 3. Down here is 4. If he throws the cross, boom. 1, 2, his other hand is up, his other elbow's in. And we do that with all the punches. Now,
all punches.
Punches.
What about an uppercut? Yep.
Same thing.
All punches.
So here's what we challenge you to do. First of all, find a knockout where one or more of the points are not exposed. First, find one where all 4 points are covered. You're not. Okay. You'll see that in most knockouts, sometimes 0 points are covered. The hands are up.
Elbows out.
Elbows are out. Body's exposed.
Chin
They get clucked, knocked out. So guys, the first thing you could do to avoid being knocked out is have a decent position, not only from just your fighting stance, but when you're in the process of throwing, you need to be covered because, as David always says, you got to train for the miss.
The best punchers in the world, if you look at those punch stats and all that, 30% is a good ratio. That means you're missing 2/3. So you're going to miss way more than you land. And those are the best fighters in the world. So, some coaches call it punching and covering. That's what it is. You got to punch and cover. Now, people will write in, oh, but God, look, this guy isn't doing it. This guy isn't doing it. That's irrelevant, right? The best way to do it is this. And if you can, practice perfectly and you've got a good coach watching that, the less you do it, the less you're going to be exposed. The second thing is dropping the other hand when you throw a punch, right? So when people jab, and people ask, why do people do that? Why is it such a bad habit to break? And why do the best in the world still do that? I'll tell you why. It's human nature. If you're walking on ice, and you slip, what happens? The first thing, everybody, you throw your hands out for balance, right? So when you move through space, your proprioceptors kick in and your other hand wants to come down as a balance point. So when you're twisting and punching, this hand is naturally going to come down for balance. Anytime there's a God-given natural response, it takes a lot of slow, focused practice to beat it, or you're always going to do it. So when you're throwing that right hand, most people drop this. When they're throwing the left hand of any kind, most people will drop the other hand. So that's another way that, again, we couldn't find any knockouts that were, you just wouldn't have been covered with basics, right?
Well, and if you don't train it, then what is your blueprint? What's the foundation of your basic position if you don't have anything to fall back on? And guarantee this, come on, buddy, if his hands are up high, and we're in the heat of battle and he gets popped, he's getting tired, whatever's happened, his hands may settle a little bit. Everybody's does. It's never going to be perfect all the time. But the higher he practices, if he settles just a little bit, at least he's got a little bit of coverage. But when you start getting down here and you've got fast guys throwing punches at you, and you're trying to bring your hands up to block or move your head, man,
setup time.
The body's wide open. And just so you understand, if you're trying to go up to block a punch, which is what you would have to do if you're going to block it, you're fighting against gravity. So you can always come down faster than you can go up, right? So keeping that good three-point stance puts you in a good position where you could block, he can slip. And the way he would develop it is, if you're a coach and you're trying to say, okay, I get it, but how do I practice it? First, he develops the stance. And then I may have him drop your hands.
Yep, that's it. Get in it.
Put them up. Boom.
And feet too. Get
Drop
out of
them.
it. Get in it. Yep.
Put them up. Yep. And then once he's got his stance down, he step to me in that stance and step back and step to me and step over to his right. And then he's working on his 4. So we've accomplished 3 things. If we cover David's bladed stance, we're covering the 4-inch rule on the steps in either direction. And we're working on a 3-point stance just by doing this. And back and over and back. And if you can't do that perfectly, I feel you have no business sparring.
Doing anything else.
Until you got it. And look at this. You'll see a lot of the comments like, we'll teach this and show a knockout. Let's say he's in the process of throwing, and look at this position, okay? This hand is down. This is very typical. This hand is headed toward the target, but there's a gap between his chin and his shoulder. So we have a gap here. We have a gap at the bend of the elbow. See, there's a space gap where a punch can come over that, okay? If somebody got under it, the body's going to be super exposed because he probably hasn't trained snapping that punch back either, which is part of the punching education to learn to do it correctly. So when we see these knockouts, typically we've got 2, 3, or 4 points exposed when the guy gets hit. So if that doesn't help you understand the importance of securing a good position, I don't know that there's anything else we can say.
Yeah, and you know, so I know somebody's going to comment, well, yeah, when you punch, the body's going to be, there's always going to be an opening. The whole fight game is this. If he has a good position, and I have a good position, we're doing everything we can, and there's a lot of ways to do it, to create an opening. And if you have a good position, there shouldn't be any openings, okay? Now, how do you do that? I can move and change my angle, but then he can move, right? I can throw a combo to get him to move around, you know, a high, low, circular, right? To get him start moving and creating openings. But if you don't do it for him, right? That's the thing. And in no way are we saying we could be perfect, but perfect practice makes perfect. You can be daggone near perfect. I've seen, Mike Tyson in his prime when he was young. There were very few openings on him, and he was so quick. Right?
And if there were, he was in motion, which made him almost impossible to hit.
Yeah. And that's what made him so good, his quickness and his positioning. It wasn't brute force. He's by far not the hardest puncher that's ever, been in the heavyweight division. Anyway, so we've got to make sure you're in position. And then, once you get all that down, once you know how to throw a jab that way, can move it, a right hand, then you work on the blocks. Then you can add in some footwork, then you can add in the combinations, then it may be ready to spar. But that's a topic we really need to cover because there's a lot of pet peeves that we both talk about all the time, is people sparring too early and what are the pros and cons of that. And the first thing I want to see is the dangers of it. Listen, if you're sparring without a headgear, there's just no sense in it. People go, oh, I can't see out of it, blah, blah, blah. We're going to get into that. And there's no comparison. You got to wear a headgear when you're sparring for it to be real. But sparring too early, let's talk about that.
Well, I think one of the reasons why people will spar too early is they've learned a little bit of skill, and now your testosterone is rocking, and you just want to test it out. You want to see what it's like. And you don't know any other way to do it, or your coach doesn't know any other way to do it. So they throw you right under that bus too early. I've owned 4 different facilities. I've trained thousands of people in boxing and kickboxing at this point. The number one reason people would quit is they sparred too early. Something happened, they got hurt because they didn't know what they were doing. Again, the problem is you want to test your stuff out. So the way you do that is by developing what are called sparring drills. And a sparring drill would be something like this. So to prevent me from jumping in the ring and just going at it before I know what I'm doing, coaches, fighters, if you've got a partner, this is a simple way to do it. Let's say that Brooklyn and I are both gloved up and he has learned his position and he knows how to punch and be covered, and he's got his basic footwork down.
Defense.
Minimum. He's learned blocking, so he's learned how to parry the jab. He knows how to catch the right hand. Guys, we have videos on all this on the channel. We also have our Fighters College course, and there's a membership page on the channel where we've taken the time to go through every single move in great detail that you can join and get all this from us. There's just a tab, click join, and I'll also put it in the comments if you want it, just say so. Okay, so he knows how to block a jab, knows how to catch it. He can block a hook. He's learned how to roll and slip. He's got some basics, okay? So we'll start with this. Let's say the drill is, I'm trying to score a jab. He picks it off. He's trying to score a jab. I pick it off. And that's our drill. So we start taking turns. I jab, boom. He jabs, boom.
Then you go to the body, right?
Yeah, we can go to the body, but first we're going to mix up the timing a little bit.
Yeah.
So I may come in and fake a little. And then see, he gets a little bit more on edge and chokes back. It's a little more real. Snap the jab. He picks it off. I'm in motion. He does the same to me. Then I may say, okay, we're going to also jab the body. Defense for that, I can have him take his rear elbow and just spin over and just deflect it with your rear elbow. Same hand you would parry with here.
Yep.
You can just catch it down, boom, down there.
Now, who would win in that? Fist to elbow.
Fist to elbow, he wins. So when you stick that body shot, throw it at people who haven't learned the three-point stance, because most people will pyramid their elbows for you and give you that target. He's not giving me a very good one. All right, so we can go high or low. Then we would do something like, we both have gloves on. We both have on a mouthpiece. We're going to spar, but we can both only throw the jab. Level 1, we can only throw the jab to the head. Level 2, we can throw the jab to the head or the body, and that's all we do. And you set a timer, it goes off, you have 3 minutes, and all we're doing is sparring with a jab. It's either a head shot or a body shot. It's a great way to transition into sparring, and that's just one of hundreds of different sparring drills you can use to develop.
And I'd like to add something. Coaches, you're so needed in this process. So what I would do if I were coaching, one is make sure their elbow is returning, because you don't want to see a lot of rib cage, because people will start trying to touch with that versus, popping it. The second thing is I'd be looking at their feet. And the second they cross their feet or their position right, stop going too fast, right? If you don't, then they're going to develop a bad habit. Here's the thing. Sparring from day one on up takes a lot of coaching, a lot of eyeballs on you, and people have to know what they're looking for. And we call it a point of view sparring. So in that drill right there, you'd be working on distance, snapping the jab, timing, maybe a little fake when it come behind the fake, head and body. You're working your blocks. You could add a little bit of head movement. A lot is being taught right there without the competitive nature. Here's the thing. It's human nature. If I light off a firecracker behind you, you're going to jump. There's a fear of loud noises, a natural fear. Fear of falling is natural, okay? Anything popping to your face, it's a natural response to shut your eyes and go away from it, okay? It takes years of training for somebody to learn how to not do that and go towards it. So what happens is, if you spar too early, you're going to be dealing with a lot of these natural reflexes that you have that are all going to be wrong. Very few of those are good for high-level fighting. There's, when people go, oh, he's a natural fighter. I've never seen one of those. I've seen people that are scrappier than other people, tougher than other people, but
it's culture or coaching.
It is.
So you may have some athletic tendencies, but the way you were brought up, so the culture you came up with, or the coach that you had, and you could argue that somebody like Mike Tyson, who had a really tough childhood, had a tough culture, and then he got some incredible coaching, and then you've got culture and coaching together, and then you have a world champion.
And then you have physiology. He had great genetics. He was thick and strong as a kid, right? So it's kind of the perfect storm. But we can teach anybody to hit hard. You guys can teach anybody to hit hard. You can improve speed on anybody. Speed is actually natural. But you can improve anybody's speed. You can make it better. And we have drills to do all of that. But just sparring too early not only hurts, it ruins fighters, okay? They develop a lot of bad habits. So work the point of view sparring. And there's a lot of them. One guy can, at one point, one guy can throw all his kicks. The other guy just gets to work his jab. And believe it or not, You can give somebody every tool in the toolbox and just give somebody a jab, and usually the jabber wins. It's pretty wild. If you establish a good jab, that is a disruptor and you can hit hard with it. But that's the way to do it. Situations, inside fighting where you're just going to the body, but your hands have to stay up like you can hit to the head. I've seen people doing those body drills with their hands like that. It's not helping you because it's teaching you to drop your hands. It should be in here. Bang, keeping those hands up, making the fighters keep your hands up and picking off with their elbows. But all out sparring, there's just no need to do that until later in the game when they've got every element of it developed. We can liken it to sports. We talked about this today. If we were going to teach you to play basketball, okay, would you learn to dribble a little bit a day, throw a few passes, maybe try a layup, shoot a couple and say, okay, now we're ready to play a game, right? I don't know of anybody that would coach that way. They got to learn to dribble. Fighting is no different. Because you've done it on the playground when you were little, that doesn't translate, right? So sparring is no different than any other sport. If you want to master it, master the basics. And like Alan says, what makes pros better than non-pros are the best is what?
The ability to link, once you have your basics down, it's the ability to start to link those movements together in combinations. That's what separates.
Yeah.
So both are
basics,
trained.
What are you linking together? If you don't have strong individual
stuff,
or
you're linking together just kind of, garbage technique.
Yeah.
And you'll see that even when wild street fights happen, you see these reels. If a guy throws a good straight right hand and lands, guys get knocked out.
Yep.
Okay. If he misses that shot, it turns into a melee because now it's he swing, they swing, they swing. It's not in combination. It's more like tag. And that's another thing you don't want sparring. You don't want to be
tit for tat.
Yeah. So
Yep.
I hit you, you hit me, I throw 1-2, you throw 1-2. That's like playing a little game. The goal for me is to use what I've got to set up and find an opening. And one thing Joe Louis always said, one of the cardinal rules is don't attack someone when their position is strong, which is what David said, right? You can angle out, give them a little feint, maybe trap at their hands.
Throw something high,
high or low, something to break down. But when we start doing that, that is a combination. So come on out. If I throw maybe that stick jab at the body and then fake and then go up high, that is a combination. So I got his attention with one, then maybe faked one, and then through this, which set up this, which might be setting up another punch or a kick or a takedown. But all of that is a combination. So when we say what separates the trained from the untrained, a better way to say it would be if both people are trained, the one who's trained better at linking his movements together and doing setups and learning how to apply them in combination is going to win.
Now, you're not going to develop that with all-out sparring.
You cannot.
You hit the nail on the head. It's impossible, y'all. It's impossible. You got to develop in the air first and check in their balance in their feet and their hands. Then you'll work it on some pads and maybe the bag. Then do a part of it in the ring. Here's the thing. If sparring gets competitive, I hit you now, all you think about is scoring and landing on me because, you don't want me to look better than you. That's the worst atmosphere to train in, okay? It's not tit for tat. Now, if you want to have sparring partner syndrome where you never get good and you see beginners come up and just surpass you, the best way to do that is compete when you're sparring, okay? And your level will not grow.
I'll argue with David over this, but I'll make a point. It's not the only way. You can start sparring early.
Yeah.
You can absolutely just come in. You don't know how to punch. You can put your gloves on and just get in the ring and start fighting. And will you learn to fight? Yes. You will learn some raw things that will come out that your body will adapt to and will pick up some skills. However, the brain cells that you lost, the risk of injury, busted teeth, busted jaw wired shut, crack ribs, all the things that happen when you spar too early, you're also going to get that.
Also, too, your body now has a neuromuscular pathway of how you do things. So if you ever want to stop and get to another level, unlearning a technique is much
Oh,
harder.
that's a great point.
Than learning it from the beginning.
That's
you're
a great
definitely going to develop. Now, they may work for you, but then when you come up against an elite guy, he's grinning inside. He sees the stuff coming a mile away. And that's when you see real guys that are real tough journeyman fighters get the snot beat out of them by a young guy who's clean, crisp, and ready to rise up, right?
And it's not that you're not tough.
No.
You know, we see comments like, well, when I street fight, I do this. My first question to you is, how many street fights are you getting into? What are you doing? Like, what do you live? Like, what is going on? And second, you got to understand these two avenues, right? Could you be tough because you're a street fighter? Absolutely, you could.
Sure.
Could you know some stuff about fighting? Absolutely, you can. Is there a chance you're going to get yourself killed? Absolutely, there is. On the other side, you've got skill development first, and then as soon as you get the skill, then you introduce sparring, and then eventually you're going to get to that level. It's a slightly slower path, but when you get there, you're going to be 10 times the fighter with way less the risk of permanent bodily injury by doing it the other way.
And the height at which you can go in the sport, there's just no comparison. The guys, the sparring partner syndrome that are tough. And let me ask you this. I've known, a lot of good street fighters. People love to do it. We're really good at it, right? I've never seen somebody like that get in. Because remember, what we're talking about is a sport. Boxing, kickboxing, they're all still sports. I've never seen anybody in my life, and it's 40-some years of doing this every day, reading about it, looking at it, traveling with it. Never seen anybody like that beat a really schooled boxer in my life. I've never seen it happen. Now, I've seen it attempted to happen.
The straight right hand, even just the straight right hand. And we're sort of deviating, but if we just say the word knockout, I guess that can apply. Street, self-defense, ring, doesn't matter. But there's always a lot of this, my chest against your chest, my ego against your ego. Somebody throws that right hand and they get knocked out. The reels are all over the internet. You can watch them.
Sucker punches work.
Absolutely.
Right? The shot that hurts is the one you don't see coming. We'd rather do it in a combination and disguise it versus a wind-up.
For sure. But also on the flip side of that, if I'm a trained boxer, hopefully I'm smart enough to know my reaction time is greatly diminished if I stand this close to this guy with my hands down. He's making me nervous. Get that mean look out of your eye. Okay, so that's just your face? He said that, I didn't. All right, so a trained fighter would know, first of all, I'm not going to get that close. And if I am, the hands are going to have to go up. And I'm hopefully not going to get caught with that wide shot. But to David's point, any boxer that can shoot a good, hard, clean, straight right hand and be covered, man, that's still the good old American fist to the face is probably the most popular technique known to man. I say America. If you're not in America, you're in Portugal, whatever, the Portugal right hand to the face. It's still one of the most popular punches. I don't know why I picked on Portugal.
Powerful, fast, straight jab. People don't trust that. To the chin or the throat or the nose with some footwork behind it is nasty. And that goes into that clip we talked about where, not drawing back, right? So, and that's what most people do is they think you have to draw back for power. When you can develop power where it comes right from your three-point stance and deliver a ton of power without disguising it, that takes it to another level.
Let's go through that whole sequence. So basically we're here and we're still on this topic of the knockout, right? So what are we talking about? If I'm going to get a knockout, I need the right punch leverage, right? We're talking about defending it, also applying it. When it comes on the applying it side, you don't want to make a 2-foot punch a 6-foot punch. Right. Can you explain that?
So here's what most people do when they fight. We're going off of not letting people detect it. Okay, so hands are here. I want to go perfectly straight so his eyes can't pick it up. But what most people do, if this is 2 feet from my fist to my face, come a little closer here, don't get on the camera. Fist to his face is 2 feet. Okay, most people will draw back 2 feet. So my fist has moved 2 feet. It's got to make up the original 2 feet, so it's moved 4 feet. Then there's the 2 feet. So my fist is literally moved, it's not trickery, 6 feet. Now, do you think somebody can move their fist 6 feet as fast as I could go, pow, right? No way, all right? So don't draw back, down, or out before you go to the target. This is what I mean. If I'm going to throw a hook, I don't go out a few feet, okay, and then come across. I go right from here, bang, right? It's weapon to the target. Right hand, you don't draw back. Weapon to the target. And you can learn to hit harder like that than you can if you were going to draw back. And people don't understand that. It's very doable. We do it every day. We do it for 40 plus years, Alan and I together. Throwing an uppercut. Big mistake people make, they go down to come up. You don't go down to come up. You drive it right from here. Bang. If you want to get low with it, you get low, right? Not your fist. Now they're going to say, well, I see people do that. Sure you do. But you know what? He's lucky that guy wasn't hooking when he went to throw that uppercut, because it's wide. My face is right here. If I drop that hand, see? So try not to do that. Don't go out before you go in. Don't go back before you go forward. Don't go down before you come up, right? Very, very important. And again, that's the stuff if people spar too early. They're going to be dropping the other hand. They're going to be throwing those punches. So coaches, when you're watching the sparring, stop it. Just stop. Say, hey, man, when you're throwing that, you're dropping your right hand, or you're looping that punch too much. Okay, go. If you just let people go, they're going to develop the incorrect neuromuscular pathways. It's called muscle memory. And once you do enough bad repetitions, that's the way your body's going to do it in the heat of battle, right? That you don't get to change it. You can't fix it full speed.
So what exactly happens in a knockout?
So, your equilibrium, which keeps you from falling to the ground, is located back here, right? So when you get hit on the chin, especially straight on the chin, it drives your jaw back, okay? And it clips that little nerve, and you doesn't hurt. Your just knees don't work. You fall, right? You get hit on the jawline. You don't have to move the jaw much to do it. That's why when you see people get like hit on the ear or right here, it drops them. So your equilibrium, without it, you couldn't stand up, right? And as people age, they lose that a little bit, and that's why they have fall risks, right? So, and there's ways to strengthen it. A lot of that is God-given. If you can take a shot, but you can strengthen your neck. People chew gum. There's stuff that you can do to strengthen your jaw and your chin. Good defense, like we were talking about this morning, is another great way to not get hit in the chin. But that's what causes a knockout. Now, there are other shots to the head that hurt, right? Getting blistered to the nose hurts, but it's not going to stop you, right? You can get cut over the eye.
What about being jarred? What about power punches like to the temple?
Yeah. I mean, you see people get woozy from that, but I swear, I think that's a brain issue. Like you catch a shin to the temple, I don't think it's the same drop response. It could be.
What about, what effect is the whiplash of the head when it's hit?
Big effect. And that's why you look at guys like Tyson, they strengthen their necks up, and they know how to tense up at the last minute. So when you see people that are just learning to strike, and Joe shared this with me years ago, he said, watch this. When they don't know how to take a shot, and it's number one, their head is always on the center line, but number two, chin high, but number three, they just don't know how to tighten up at the right time, and they get hit too much and they go down a lot easier.
So look at this. So what about this? My thought has always been, we're going to drop this hand just for purposes of demonstration. Straighten this hand out and turn that chin over, let it touch your chin. Okay, so my view has always been, let's say that hand was down. If he's got a full extension, his shoulders are up and that shoulder touches the chin, if he does get hit, he's got his shoulder and trap up there helping reinforce his head to prevent that whiplash. So it's like a slight little shrug of the shoulder and tuck the chin down, and now the chin is a little bit protected behind that brace. Yeah. So if he's throwing, you can drop it down. If I'm throwing a straight shot and I've got that hand up and he hits on the other side or there, well, there's your chance to get me back from the other day. I'm braced here, and I've got something sort of supporting,
so you're not going to have that
my neck
the jaw
versus
or the head
this, boom, which is what we're talking about in the three-point stance. When your hands are down in the middle of a shot and somebody gets clicked, there's nothing there to support that chin, and I feel like that also leads to a higher risk of getting stunned or knockout.
100%. And they call it the button, or get hit on the tip of the chin. If you just take your hand and you loosen your jaw and don't clench your teeth and you pop it pretty good, you'll feel what it feels like.
Don't knock yourself out.
and consult a physician before you do that. No, but so the issue is punching and covering, knowing how to take a shot. Now let's talk about accuracy. Okay.
The holy grail.
We see a lot of people hitting the heavy bag, just tearing it up. And people go, wow, good moves, right? That guy hadn't thrown one focused punch. If you're proud of yourself for hitting a heavy bag, don't break your arm for doing that. That's a big target. What you want to do, get those little dots that are stickers and put it one head level, solar plex level, kidney level, liver, and work your combinations where you're focused on that dot. Because I'm going to tell you, if you've never fought an accurate fighter and then you go do, it's a whole different world. Sugar Ray Leonard was something else at that. You know, I mean, he'd throw 4 punches, but it was tip of the chin, solar plexus, liver, jaw, right where he wanted them. So accuracy also, you know, plays such a role. And you know, again, you're not going to learn that by being in the ring. You're going to learn that by focus on accurate shots, then apply it in the ring.
Makes sense. Hey guys, and by the way, as we're having this talk, if you have any questions, feel free to put them down in the comments below. We'll have somebody monitoring those, and then we'll answer them if you're catching it later. So if you're watching it now, go ahead and ask any questions. If you're watching it after the fact, just put hashtag replay. Let us know that you caught it later. Put any questions that you have in there. David and I and Brooklyn are monitoring the chats of these videos for you so we can answer any questions that you have.
Now also too, guys, Brooklyn is a perfect example. Man, let's spar. And I was like, hang tight. Here's how we're going to do it, right? So we're bringing them along the right way, and we work point of views. And usually I stack them against him a little bit with the other guys, right? And that's okay too. Give them 3 punches and he gets 1, right? So he's working his defense, and he's also learned how to zero in and set up that one shot. Let's talk about setups, Alan. So how do you get people to start moving their arms around if they're in a good shell? So we're not angling. We're going to throw different combinations so the third shot could be the knockout shot.
Okay, so go with something like this. This is a combo we call straight right, okay? And straight right is done like this. And the goal here is to get inside and get off a good shot. I don't want to just walk straight in on him, right? Because you don't attack when a position is strong. So one simple combination is we'll throw a high jab, but as I throw that high jab, I'm going to take an angle step out to my left. So what you'll notice, if you look at Brooklyn this way, you ought to be able to see this on the angle. We're squared directly at each other. If I throw a straight right hand, just keep your hand up. If I throw a straight right hand, his hand is in the way of that shot, right? If I take an angle step over my left, I can take my right down the middle, okay? Right down the middle. So let's go here.
We're talking 3 inches, not a giant step.
It's not far. It's a tiny little step. So I may snap a hard jab and then go out. So I'm high. I've taken an angle. I'm going to drop, go low, boom, and then a hard, either he's going to get hit by that, which is going to generate a reaction, or he's going to pull an elbow down to block it. And then I'm going to come upstairs with a hook, boom, and then back down with a right hand. So we practice that combination. We call it straight right. So straight right, we go bang, 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 down the middle. And that's just what this is.
Oh man, that's so masterful. Because when you're putting your combinations together and you go over this in your flow series, you want to change level and direction. So if it's just straight shots, they're easy to figure out. But if you're going straight, circular, up, back around this way, people are having to do a bunch of that, and they're going to create an opening, right? And your coach should pick it out. Absolutely. Hey, when this guy's throwing this, he's dropping this, or when you threw this, he overreacted, which opened up that, right? And
other ways, like if you have a good jab, what is his defense to the jab? So a lot of people will overreach, so he's not going to do it. But thank you for doing it. He'll reach out for me. See, he overreaches. When he blocks that jab, it should be super close and just a touch. But if he reaches, you fake him and come around the outside. We have a combo called jab hook. It's in our flow series. It's here on the channel. We got it broken down in detail if you want to see it. But it would be like, throw the jab. Oh, he likes to reach a little bit on that. And then a hook around it because he fell for the reach.
And he'll do it a couple of times and let him do it wrong just to make sure, okay, that's how he likes to deal with this shot. So a light bulb goes off. Now, he has to know how to exploit that. Where is that developed? In sparring? No, it's developed the mechanics of it first, like in your series, learning each thing individually, then the combination, then in the ring, right? You can't develop something full speed. I don't care what sport it is, what physical activities, your brain doesn't work like that. You can't learn any good physical technique full speed. It's impossible.
And you could train that combo by just now we have thrown the jab hook in the right. He's learned the combo. So he learns this combo, or he learns jab hook. He learns that combo. And we go, all right, we're going to spar. All you can do is jab or set up those combos. That's all you get. So now I know he's either going to try to catch me with a jab hook or he's going to kind of catch me with a jab and a straight right to the body. That's confusing enough on a beginner level. If you can master that and then move to a different one. But there's no reason.
Even not going to non-beginner level. We watched Floyd Mayweather do that little stab and jab, moving this guy's elbows all around, then boop, little feint, bang, left hook. And these are world-class fighters falling for that same thing. And this is hard.
And it's simple to observing it, but to really drill it to where it becomes second nature, that takes work. And that's where we believe that all skills are created through drill. So you need a drill to acquire the skill. Or you can be that guy that just, I'm always in a street fight, or all I do is fight in the gym. And it's not like you can't learn to fight. Fought plenty of guys who were tough like that. They didn't win against me, but they were very, very tough. They weren't maybe as trained, but they were seasoned at fighting, just didn't have the kind of coaching that I had. So I ended up winning. It's not that you can't or that I can win everything, but it's just the idea. Common sense would say, develop your basics and then drill them until you know them, then train them progressively until you're more advanced, and then turn it loose. There's some balance there between drilling and combat fighting merged together to create the best fighter, not just one or the other.
So let's liken it to another sport, because when you take it away from fighting, right, I think people can grasp it better. So we're a great basketball team. All of those guys know how to dribble real well with either go in either direction, pass, move forward, move left, move right, block, position. They can all do that very well, right? Then they still work on plays. They drill a play in practice. Those would be drills before they ever try it in an NBA game, right? So it's the same rhythm of learning. Now, I think there's only one fighter that I've ever really heard of that after a while, all they liked to do was spar, and that was Andrew Toney. He's tough as nails, probably one of the best fighters ever, great technique, but he didn't learn like that. He had great mechanics, right?
And he was probably smart enough to not always spar full power. You know, if you were sparring in a way where you can progressively learn, great. But this isn't that let's go to war every single day type sparring. And here's an argument for the other side of this. So can you get tough by just fighting? Sure. Can you get tough are you tough because you may have superior attributes? That is, what if you're a supernatural athlete who is naturally strong? Yeah. You have fast reflexes, good reaction time. You're just quick. You've got a hard chin, a thick neck. Yeah, man, obviously. But is that where you want to be? And is that you? If it's you, okay. But just because somebody else can do it, that doesn't make you a fighter. And how much better would you be if you picked up the fundamentals and basics and learned them the right way and combined it with your natural toughness, your natural attributes, your natural aggression? Again, that's a Tyson.
And I think still the way we're talking about coaching would serve that guy even better, because then when he gets in the ring, he's going to be less reactive, right? And be able to use that aggressive nature and that toughness in a more superior fashion.
If he doesn't wait too long and develop all those bad habits because he relied on nothing but sheer raw.
Yeah, no, I was saying bring him up our way. If we got that guy, still somebody, then put him in, and then that's how you end up with a Mike Tyson. If you watch his story or know anything about it, the amount of training Cuss did with him one-on-one, perfecting everything. And by the way, Cuss's style, that came from martial arts. He was emulating martial artists, okay, making people miss and then hitting them. And it's in his story. But it was, perfect feet placement. It was just loads and loads of perfect repetition before they even thought about unleashing them on people. And then when they did, youngest heavyweight champion ever, right?
For sure. So we've got a good 3-point stance. We know how to punch and cover. We've talked about movement. What else would you like to add on to the discussion on the knockout? So we know how to apply it. We're getting torque and rotation.
We set it up. Use other things to get them to move their hands around.
And there's a lot of examples of that, you guys. That was just one quick example on the fly that he asked that I created, but there's lots of ways.
So, when you throw this and they do this, and we have a lot of that in our training. If this, then that. If you see, and coaches, you're just such a critical cog in this wheel, because your job should be going, okay, man, when this guy's moving left, he's crossing his feet, there's no way he can hit hard. So next time he moves left, I want you to just blitz him. Now, you may not see that because you're looking up here, but I can tell you with your feet crossed, it's impossible to hit leveraged. So that's when you jump somebody. So, somebody else is going to be noticing that. Now, you have to have the ability to apply what your coach tells you to apply, and that goes back to having great basics and combinations. So, getting people to cross their feet, getting people hands out of position, people who leave their chin too high. Ryan Garcia's run into a lot of that problem. Great fighter, gets clipped in the chin, right? That chin should be down. You should be looking kind of through the roof of your head, not your chin up and down.
We always said when your chin's down, try to look through your eyelashes.
Yeah, and
hopefully you didn't
natural.
Hopefully you didn't go through the cosmetic phase of plucking your eyelashes, because then you don't have anything to look through. But if it's supposed to be funny, man, you can laugh. I'm sorry. Okay. So if your chin is down and you're looking through your eyelashes, that's kind of a base position. Or we would say look at the second rope if you were in the ring, things like that. Little tricks to help you keep that head down.
Staying behind that shoulder, i.e. the Philly shell. Look at Mayweather. Man, he caught so many punches with his shoulders, right? Hiding behind that shoulder. The old school fighters really did that a lot better, because that was a big element of it. You can take a little ball, a tennis ball is a little bit too big, put it under your chin and train. That's different. Keep that chin down.
Now we're not also we've talked about this in some other videos. We don't teach that because we are looking at boxing, striking, MMA, self-defense, etc. So for example, that Philly shell, you could borrow aspects
you can
of
roll the rolling
for sure.
Yeah,
but we talked about this. He wouldn't want to do that because he's open for any type of leg kick, any type of takedown.
And this isn't offensive either. Remember, this is a defensive posture, right? So you don't come in like that, especially if somebody can hum those hard elbows to your forehead, wherever, right? It's a different deal.
But there's something good to learn from everything. So I want to let you guys know, we know everything there is to know about fighting, right, David?
And I want to tell you, here's the deal. Here's the real deal, though. We were talking about this today when we were meeting. Every day, literally, a day doesn't go by where we're on the constant search of knowledge and trying to say, okay, is there a better way to do this? Who does this well? How is it different? Where do we see the holes? We eat, sleep, and drink this, and both have literally for over 40 years. That's a long time. Most of you guys aren't that old. Yeah. And so do we know everything? No. Are we saying this is the only way to do it? No. We're trying to share with you a tried, true system that works in all elements of striking. Okay. And this converts, we're going to do a series of this, to street fighting really well, right? Or self-defense. So the elbows that we do, the torque that we do, the balance that we do, you can switch it to self-defense stuff very easily.
Well, if a straight right hand lands in the right place, the fight's over.
Yeah.
So what martial art is the best? The one who actually lands the shot. Accuracy is the holy grail. So if you've got a good right hand and that's what you train and you stick it, there's a good likelihood that fight's over.
There's great fighters that just had the whole fight. They're setting up that big right. Like Wilder's wasn't that great, but it's an example we can use that he was just in there. Can I just land this? And he landed on some pretty good guys, It's a good punch. It's a good self-defense move. It all works at some point. What we want to do is figure out what has the highest. So all martial arts or boxing moves can work in all avenues. They can work. What you have to do is discover what has the highest reward versus risk. So a jab and a straight right hand are very high reward, low risk. A spinning back kick is moderate reward, but high risk. Like what can happen to you if you get caught with your back turned? So you just choose moves that are the most efficient, which will bring you a high reward likely if you throw it and not put you in a compromising position. You think that's a good way to Absolutely. And so let's take spin back kick. Now, if somebody, when they were doing a move, if there was a really big opening being created, then that's a nasty shot. But you don't see somebody come right out off the stool and throw that. It has to be set up. They have to see, okay, this is open. When I do this, he's doing that.
And it hurts, but there's always going to be, as great of a shot as it is, if it lands, there's more risk to you making that rotation to set up that kick than there's for me going, pow, and just throw in a straight punch. I can do that, stay on balance, stay covered, etc. Not that it wouldn't work or it wouldn't be a good shot, but that it's just a little riskier. And you got to decide, if you're somebody with tight hips and no flexibility, you probably shouldn't be trying to spin him back.
And for heaven's sake, don't try it in the ring until you've hit it, can pop that thing accurately and fast thousands of times on a target.
Before you
try that stuff early, and it's horrendous.
If you want to know a claim to fame I've never told you, in my 3rd degree black belt test against Joe Louis, I've got this on tape. I'll bring it out so you can see it. He's on the ropes. I went 1, 2, 3, step, spin, hit him with a spin back kick right there on the rib. And as it landed, what went through my mind is, you hit Joe Louis with and before I could even get it through my mind, I'd already paid for it times 5. But I did learn, I did land it. I paid for it dearly, but I did land it.
But you remember landing it, because that's a hard thing to land, And I'm sure Joe, he was just so easy when you hit him with something good. I'm sure he tried to crack it.
He took it really easy on me. He didn't.
So
that's a lot of information, you guys, on the knockout. And if you wanted to sum it up, we could sum it up to good position,
punching and covering, right?
Being able to punch and cover, being able to create for defense, being able to create openings.
Don't drop that other hand, because you're always going to fight that, guys. Always. Every time we train, if he's doing something, I'm watching hand, once that elbow creeps down, and eventually it'll stop wanting to pull down. It may drop a little bit, but it's not going to do this number, right?
Yep. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed this impromptu session where we just wanted to go over all these things and give you a lot to think about. If you want to see the actual drills and the things that we're doing, you can go to fighterscollege.com. We have an app where you can access combinations and drills, and we're adding to it weekly. You also have an option on the YouTube channel where you can do a YouTube membership and access the members area. You can actually scroll through YouTube and see the choices that are on there, which include trainings with us and seminars and private lessons I had with Joe Louis.
And then also too, the program where you guys can video yourself, send it to us, and if you follow the plan where we take everything down, put it in bite-sized pieces, master that, send it in, then we can coach you.
Yeah, guys, that's level 3 of our YouTube channel. It's extremely affordable. Our goal is to be able to spend more time making content for you like this, but in that section, not only can you send that to us, once you've mastered it, we have our Fighters College certification program. It's included once you've mastered those techniques through that system. So check it out. I'll put the link down below, or you can just comment that you want info and I'll send it over to you.
And guys, keep that chin down regardless of where you are when you're backing up. Keep that chin down, elbows in, hands up.
And thank God every day you have the strength to go one more round. See you next time, guys.
Thanks.
Hey guys, I'm Alan Branch.
I'm David Dyes.
We appreciate you watching the video. Hey, be sure that you like the video, subscribe to our channel for ongoing content, and if you want to go next level, be sure to visit us at fighterscollege.com.
And always remember, keep those elbows in, that chin down, and hands up.
And remember to thank God every day that you have the strength to go one more round. See you next time.